Hello and a warm welcome to Albinism Talk, the Golden Gents Edition with your host, Marvelyn Green. Years ago, we have started the yellow messages on spreading albinism awareness with Yell for Change. But this is the way we want to start off this anniversary by celebrating albinism. And we have our golden gents this evening. Some of them are podcasters, husbands, fathers, advocates, and the list goes on and on. So the time has come to introduce the speakers. So who would like to open the floor and introduce themselves?
I'll go first. So my name is Dale Hamilton. I am the owner of Life with Albinism. It is a podcast and also a brand. We do products for people with albinism, clothing for people with albinism, of course, the podcast. And for all of our content, you can go to lifewithalbinism.com.
Amazing. The next speaker I will call to introduce himself. Let's welcome Mr. J. Marvel.
My name is Mohamed Usman Kamara, and I am in Sierra Leone. I'm the Executive Director for Sierra Leone Association of Persons with Albinism. And we've been doing a lot in Sierra Leone, and I'm happy to be here.
Amazing.
My name is Darren St Agathe. I am from Brooklyn, New York also. I heard a few people are from Brooklyn, New York. I am I work in media, television. I've been a director of procurement and purchasing, as well as a project manager at a media company and a major media company. And I've been doing it for quite a while. And this is who I am. Take it or leave it. Like I always tell people who I've dated, this is who I am.
Amazing. Ocsar White, introduce yourself, sir.
Good evening. It's evening here. My name is Ocsar White, and I'm the Albinism Mayor of Lagos, Nigeria. I'm the founder of the Albinism Hangout. I'm the CEO of Ocsar White Phone Clinic. Yeah, that's me. I know a lot of people will be like, what's the phone clinic? If you want to know more, you can ask. Anybody that wants to know more can ask.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's me.
Amazing.
My name is Josh Cintròn. I'm also from Brooklyn, New York. I've been an IT professional for 15 years, servicing New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. I've recently started working with a hedge fund, actually, and I'm pretty much their primary contact. So a lot of international relations. On the side, I do some photography, some podcasting, and some voiceover work, and I'm also the chief operating officer for a startup called Megalia Media.
Awesome. So let me introduce myself. So my name is Marvelyn Green, and I am a podcaster as well, albinism advocate, creator content, and founder of Yell for Change. I'm also, my job title also, I work for a well-known company as well. I am a fulfillment associate. So I've been doing this for 3 years as well. That's me. I started Yell for Change Advocacy because I want to make an impact to the albinism community, and also just to bring the awareness of albinism, because I do believe that there's so much greatness and potential within our community. And that's why I started this advocacy. So you can find us on our social media platforms at Yell for Change. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, our YouTube channel as well. So, I'm just so proud of the fact that we've done 3 years of this advocacy, spreading the yellow message. It's important that we are coming together as a community. So I'm so proud of us. Now, the time has come for the questions. Let's just have this discussion for all the speakers that's here. So let's talk about your albinism journey. So from your early childhood and your experience growing up, and who's your biggest support? And let's just go into it. So the first question I have is, when did you notice your skin was different? So everybody, that's the speaker. Who wants to take the initiative?
Yeah,
Who wants to start? So the question is, when did you notice your skin was different?
I'll go.
Yeah, sure.
So I I think I noticed my skin was different the first time, I think in kindergarten, actually, when a lot of the kids in my class looked nothing like me. Like I would look in like you know how they do like the school photos and everything, and they have like the class, the picture day or whatnot. So I I would be the easiest one to pick out in the entire freaking in the entire photograph. That was kind of the really big hit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Dale, do you want to go? When did you notice your skin was different?
For me, I would say I noticing my skin was different. It's kind of like a trick question, right? Because it's my skin has always been different, so I never had like that wow moment of realizing it. It's just always been what it was. But maybe noticing that I was different from everyone else, maybe like around elementary school. Usually you have to go to school to then notice that you're different from everyone else because now you're around other kids that are quote unquote normal. So I think the first time realizing it for me was like going to school for the first time, like maybe third grade or something. And it's like, I do look quite different from the other black kids here. Um, and then who was like my big inspiration? For me, it was mostly my mom. My mom really taught me to be confident in my skin, regardless of the albinism. And she also taught me, like, hey, no matter what, no matter how different you look, you're still our son. So that's how it was for me.
Oscar, what about you? When did you notice your skin was different, hon?
You know, I'm from Africa, and I see a lot of dark-skinned people. From day one, I know my skin was different. It's not something I'll come here and argue. I hardly see a person like me. I hardly see them. It's now that I'm grown up. Somebody introduced me to the association, and I started meeting other people. Like if other people even see me, other persons with albinism see me, they run away.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Till date here, associating with persons with albinism is not really easy. They will like, no, I don't want to. I don't want other dark-skinned people to see me and you standing together, holding hands, waiting to exchange pleasantries. And even in the school I attended then, no persons with albinism there. It was just me.
Oh wow.
So you can easily spot me out. So you say,
Oh
like,
wow.
from day one, I know I was different. But I don't just know that the worst enemy of every person with albinism is the sun. No, I played a lot in the sun. I played a lot in the sun. And the sun here, you can't compare with the sun in other countries. I don't know, though I've not left Nigeria before, though. But I know we don't have snow. You get it? We don't have days like, oh, we see snow. No, we only have raining season and harmattan.
Oh wow.
But no, but even my parents don't know about it. My parent doesn't know about albinism. So you should know. I was being treated like every other child in the house. No special treatment. Even the
okay.
teachers don't know. Even the teachers don't know. Like there's a lot of things that are made to be put in place. Imagine you being a person with albinism, you're supposed to sit at the front, you are sitting at the back. You know, presently it's affecting a lot of persons with albinism. Some are even dropping out of school. Like I don't want to go to school no more. I can't see the blackboard. I can't see the whiteboard. What am I going there to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
J Marvel, your turn, sir. So thank you for joining this evening. He's from Sierra Leone. When did you notice your skin was different, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Marvelyn, and greetings to everyone again. Well, I'm born into a family where the mom, the dad, your siblings, they're all dark, perhaps fair a little bit. You know definitely when you're going up, when you start realizing good from bad, you definitely know you're different. Like your skin color is different. And when you're playing out in the sun with other kids, you know the sun is disturbing you more because you can't see like when you're playing like the other kids. So they normally bully you, like if you're playing football or any other game. You know definitely you suffer the more. And sometimes you have to like eat under the shade when others are playing in the sun. So from there, you know that there's something wrong with me. That's the first thing that I started to ask: what is wrong when I'm in the sun? You know, I get burnt easily. I get so pink, and you know that is the things that we started realizing because we started feeling the sun very hot, and we know definitely our skin is very light than all of our family member because I'm the only one with albinism in my family. So that's the other thing. So you know that you're different from other people, and then people around the community start calling you names before you started going to school. In fact, they'll start calling in Sierra Leone, they will call you Jews, they'll call you disappointed African, they will call you a devil, they will call you a white man. It depends to the person. So calling you disappointed African is something that you start thinking about. Why are they calling me disappointed African? That you're born in Africa, but you look like a white man, so you're not supposed to be. So you're disappointed because you're not dark. So that's a narrative here. So you see the discrimination when Black people in the diaspora are talking about them being discriminated by white folks there. Then we are being discriminated, even though we are born by two Black parents here in our own motherland. You see the irony, or the so it's like very hard for us because we know we are Africans and we are born here and both our parents are Black, and it's dominated by Black people, and then they are discriminating us, and they are, you know, so we are in the middle. We are not too Black to be a Black person, an African, then we are not too white to be a white man. So you see where we stand. We are in the middle. So yeah.
Can I just say something to that? Just really
Yes,
quick.
yes. Go ahead, Josh.
I want to thank the gentleman for saying what he just said, because that is one thing that we as people with albinism need to talk about, and we need to be more vocal about, because it's a love-hate relationship that I have with ideologies like this, because on one end we do recognize that, you know, there have been some pretty atrocious things done to people of color. Okay, I'm not going to dispute that at all. However, okay, to then say something like that to people like us, you know, as if we're the ones that caused you problems. And I'm for those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't know me personally, like I'm Hispanic. I'm Puerto Rican. I was born in New York City. I was born in Brooklyn in 1986. All right. And I got the same treatment that the prior gentleman just said. You know what I mean? Like, I've gotten the name calling, I've gotten jumped after school, I've gotten bullied, and all because of my physical appearance. You know what I mean? And so to sort of endure that at a very young age, all the way up through pre-adolescence and adolescence, people don't necessarily. We're in a weird sort of duality where people are so what's the word am I trying to use? They're so obsessed with trying to be kind to people and to be sensitive and inclusive and all this other stuff, right? But then when it comes to people who look like us, okay, when it comes to people who look like us, that goes out the window. Nobody wants to talk about that. And you know what? I applaud the previous gentleman for actually saying something to that.
Yeah, just let me just jump in. Just this is very, very serious. Honestly, thank you for doing that. But this is what is affecting us here because um we are not oh God. This is when you go to school, the teachers also discriminate you. They
Oh
they
yes,
they will
Yep.
start calling you names. So that's very, very serious with us here.
Mm-hmm.
And we let's say identity crisis or so we don't know where to place ourselves because calling
Exactly.
us disappointed African is it's very, very serious. And then you guys in the diaspora, they are perhaps I think you guys are facing the same challenge that we are.
yeah. I'm sorry
Well,
to cut
Yeah.
you, Jay. Sorry
and
to cut
Okay.
you. So for me, I'm of Caribbean heritage, and I can kind of relate to some of it as well. But carry on,
Mhm.
guys. Carry on.
Okay. So because of you guys are there and you look pale, you mingle with white people, perhaps they will not sense the difference that easily. And people will be doubting your parents, in fact, if they are the ones that give birth to you. So that's another thing that is happening in Sierra Leone. Like our fathers or fathers that we know, because some of our fathers who are educated know what is albinism, but some, without knowing that this is a genetic condition, they will leave the mom and the kids to suffer. They'll tell them that they go and get pregnant for a white man. So you see the problem
Mm-hmm.
that is happening for the moms here and for kids here. So the discrimination here is like immense for people with albinism. So that is why this advocacy, this thing needs to be talked about. Just as you just said, we need to talk about this. They are talking about I don't want to call them, but they are talking for gay rights, women, and all. In the albinism community, we have women, we have children, we have old people, we have gays, we have so we this is a whole community, and this community is cut across all ethnicity, all region, in fact, in animals too. So why not address this particular situation that human beings are suffering in silence? They're not speaking up because of the exclusion in community.
Sorry, Jay, not to cut you, but Darren, can you? I'm going to give him a chance
Okay.
to speak.
Yeah.
Mr.
Okay.
St Agathe, can you jump in this discussion? What's your
Yes.
perspective on your? Because it's good to learn from. I mean, as I said before, right? We have different ethnicities and so forth, so everybody's story is different. So,
Yeah.
Darren, can you jump into this, please, and share your perspective of your journey and
Yeah.
and if you've experienced any the previous speakers have said about the identity crisis kind of thing, so please jump in this and share your perspective.
Sure. Mm. Can I be heard? I don't want to say I'm
Yeah,
on pause. Can I be heard?
yeah,
Okay.
go
So,
ahead,
yeah,
speak.
from my experience, first, let me say, like, I didn't grow up alone. My oldest brother had albinism. So, like, my mother had three kids, and she had three boys, and my oldest brother also had albinism, and we also are from the Caribbean, all of us Caribbean descent. So when watching my brother, who obviously, he and before I even go there, I think people need to understand, and which I probably already know, there's different degrees or elements of albinism because the albinism is about lack of pigmentation, not just necessarily in the body or the skin, but it's in the eyesight, which can cause some people to be legally blind, depending on the degree of their degree of albinism. Myself
Mm-hmm.
and my, but I'll talk about myself. I went to school. I sat in the first two, maybe two or three the rows. I never had the discrimination in school. I went to the school in New York, but I didn't experience those things. I sat in the first two or three seats. I had no problem, honestly, seeing the blackboard or anything or thinking that matter. Only time I did is unless I sat in the back, which I never really did because I knew I couldn't see in the back. So I even never even tried. So I didn't experience that. Now, as far as on the disrespect or as far as the ridicule or ignorance of others, yeah, definitely. I definitely experienced people every light white joke that I was called that, and I think I'm probably the oldest person out of everybody in the group. I'm assuming. Correct me if I'm
I
wrong.
will ask about that in a second. What's the age, so I would know. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm probably the oldest person in this group.
yeah, yeah.
From my experiences, I know when I grew up in elementary school, the teachers themselves would never go that far as to say anything. They would embrace the fact that you were lacking a little bit of eyesight, and they would make sure that you can learn. And I didn't experience that. Now, kids, the bullies, the light white jokes and everything. I think the toughest thing for me, and I think some of y'all could probably relate to that. Who knows? There was the Powder. The movie Powder came out. Oh, that was hard. Like once that movie came out, like it just made it very difficult for me to go to school. Like
it made it so much worse. It
made it so much worse. Like, and I went when that movie came out, I was in high school, so I was just thought it was so hard. Like that right there made me embrace martial arts. So like I was ready to fight, and I'm not a person that looks for altercations, but I wanted to fight these people all because I couldn't take it anymore. But again, I'm gonna say this because I think I'm the only one that had a sibling that looked like me. Watching him and the steps that he took, and watching his I think you and I've talked about that. Watching his, like, he had so much like swagger and so much like people liked him for who he was, and like I just took notes from him. Like he literally told me, he said to me in our quote, he's like, Darren, people are going to like you for who you are. It's like that, everybody's heard that saying, but I think what he was more so trying to say is that, and I end up finding that out as I later on in life, is that you're different, but you don't have to make the fact that you're different the point of purpose. Like when people see you, they don't have to point out necessarily, look at that person with albinism or quote unquote albino. They don't have to point that out, because if that person naturally gets to know you, they don't even see it. And to be quite honest, as the adult that I am now, I don't hear it at all unless I'm walking down a street or someplace of another country or area where they used to just calling you out. Now, the young man who's from Africa, I'm a traveler. I have also, my wife and I have a traveling company called Travel With Me, and that I travel all the time, or everywhere. As a matter of fact, Regina Mary and I are so close. She's my little sister. I'm going to bring her to America. That's my goal. Yeah. I'm bringing her here. I think I told you that. Her and I are so close. Yesterday was her birthday, by the way. If any of y'all know Regina Mary.
Happy birthday to her. If she's around. Happy birthday, Regina.
Yeah, Regina Mary and I are so close. I acknowledge her as my little sister. She has acknowledged me as my big brother. But I went to a lot of countries in Africa, and I can't relate, maybe because I'm different in the sense that I don't live there. But when I went to these places, these people loved me. They came over to me and wanted to hug me, and I have proof of pictures and everything. Like I'll use South Africa and when I went to Kenya as an example. When I went there, they thought I was a model immediately. But I'm saying these things not because I want to compare myself to anybody else, but I tell you, I'm saying that because I want people to understand that people just liked me for who I was. They just didn't care. They didn't care. But going back to childhood, I feel like kids are really soft. Today's kids are soft, and the bullying. When I said to my wife when I was having children with her, I don't want my kids to be like me. That's the main reason why I wanted to make sure you didn't have that gene, the albinism gene. Because
we're going to touch on that later on. We're going to touch on that later on.
Yeah. I'm just going to make a point. I didn't want them to have that albinism gene, not because necessarily I'm ashamed of myself. Far from, not at all. I'm very confident, extremely. Again, shout out to my older brother. I'm very confident. It's just that I don't think a lot of kids can take the bullying. The bullying was tough. And the young man I spoke to, who knows about the powder, I think the martial arts gave me discipline not to fight. Because I've done martial arts for over 30 years. I'm a third-degree black belt, and instead of me wanting to fight these guys or go have the altercation, it actually calmed me down. So, but I think the movie Powder. I don't know if anybody else is familiar with Powder. Is it just me?
No powder, yeah.
Yeah, so when that movie Powder it came out, again, it didn't help anybody with albinism, especially if you're going to school around that time. I don't know if anybody can, other than me, can than the other young man that spoke can relate to that. But bottom line is, I feel like I had my older brother, and watching him handle the things that he handled with his complexion, because they call his nickname was such sunshine. And instead of him getting mad at it, he embraced it. So what I ended up doing is doing the same exact thing that he did. I told you that story. I was like, instead of me getting mad, I wrote poetry, and the young lady my first real girlfriend, she's like, I love your complexion. Your complexion's like the color of Swiss cheese and whatever. I got mad at first, and I was like, all right, you laughing? You're laughing, but I said, all right. But after a while, I was like, I like the name, and the
Hey, at
irony
least
is
you
that
got the nicer cheese than I
Yes,
did. I got more
I
cut out.
can't. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for laughing. That just took me out.
You got a nicer cheese than I did, man. I'm jealous.
No, she called me Swiss. Her and I are still friends up to this day, but we're not as close. Obviously, we didn't work out. But she's like, your complexion, and I don't. Again, I'm saying this not to big myself up, but to give people confidence. Is that the girl talked to me. I didn't go up to her. She came to me, aggressively. I always tell people that. So I was like, I didn't talk to the girl. The girl, she's like, hey, you, come here. I was like, you're talking to me? I was with my friend. I was like, you talk. And my friend said to me, I think she's talking to you. You better go over there. She's like, she wants you to come over there. I was like, okay. All bashful, all scared, everything. She's like, you're so handsome, bro. You're so cute. She's like, you're going to give me your number. I was like, I am? She said, yes. She said, yes. I said, okay, if you say so. She's like, oh, I love your complexion. It's like Swiss cheese. I'm going to call you Swiss. I said,
Swiss cheese.
Yeah, we can laugh about it now. It's hilarious. It's hilarious now. I laugh about it now because I was like, don't call me that. But after a while, she kept on calling me that. And then I used it for my poetry because that's another thing I use to help me control my emotion was my poetry. So I use that name as Swiss for poetry. And I used to write, anybody from New York knows the Poetry Lounge over there at in Lower Manhattan. New Eureka. Oh, I was a notorious speaker over there, like notorious. Everybody knew me. And I used to speak out and say, do my emotions over there. And let me know if I'm talking too much apparently, because I don't want to.
Because I know this is time because I'm just watching the time, so I'm sorry to cut you down in less time.
That's a nice one. But let me jump a little bit. Diane, you having an older brother with albinism really help you to like overcome the challenges that you're supposed to face when you're going. And we applaud your older brother for that. But honestly, in Africa, you want to like have that particular confidence that you're saying when you're old, but due to the discrimination around you, you will definitely be self-isolated. You isolate yourself because anywhere you go, they will mock you. Yes, people will be there that like your skin, but they will be afraid to express themselves because what society might tell them. People will definitely tell you did not see any woman for you to date. Is that disappointed African? So you see the challenges that we are facing here because the mindset, the literacy rate in Africa is like huge. People see you like demonic person, you have spiritual powers, you have this. So all of those things
I'm aware of that.
surround it, that is what is different. That is person with albinism in Africa and people with albinism in Europe or America, we are the same. We have the same genetic condition, but also our upbringing is different. The struggle that we are facing is immense here. You can compare because people there have some little bit of knowledge and a little bit of awareness, but here people are ignorant. In fact, they are thinking like you're devil, so they don't want to associate themselves with you. It's just now that we have come up with different organization that the discrimination is going down, and people with albinism are loving themselves now, because the self-hate was huge, was out of this world. People hate themselves because of their persons with albinism, and you having a community hates themselves like that, how to change their mindset first before changing the other mindsets of other people. That's a very huge one.
Sorry to cut you, Jay. Dale, you've been a bit quiet, so let's just hear from you, Dale. Life with albinism. What's your perspective of this? Because this is all things albinism. So so what's your perspective that you hear from what the speakers are saying? So share your perspective, sir.
So, a lot of things that everyone has been saying is things that I can really agree with. One thing that Darren mentioned is how people may tease you or call you names and stuff like that, and some people choose to embrace it, right? And that's one of the biggest messages that I like to give people with albinism, is the fact that undoubtedly we are different, right? We are different, we look different, it is what it is. And one thing I like to let people know is albinism is something that ain't going nowhere, right? If you have albinism, it's not going nowhere. You can't change it, you can't fix it. So embrace it. And no matter what people say, it shouldn't matter what people says or what people think about you, So one thing, and I guess not to be controversial or anything, but one thing that I dislike is when people with albinism feel offended because someone asks them a question about their albinism, or because somebody uses the word albino.
Yes.
It's like, what's the point?
Yes.
It's a waste of time to get.
Yes.
It's a waste of
It is,
time to get offended by these things.
It is.
When I first went to a country in Africa, they told me don't say albino, and I was like, "Well, in America, that's what they called a lot of us."
They say the same thing in Jamaica as well. They say albino as well in Jamaica as well. Or,
right.
They do say that, and even here as well in England. But I feel like where it's controversial, where people have different intakes of how it's addressed, right? There's some people who take offense because of the derogatory way it's been used or the way it's been bullied. I think why some people prefer persons with albinism. So for me, if people come up to me, some people, let's just be real, not everybody knows the term albinism or albino. Not a lot of people know it. So we can't be so jumpy and get offended because not everybody knows about albinism. And even do you know that even in our own Black community, not everybody knows about albinism?
Of course not. But I want to say this: the problem is that people are being called albino is being called a person of lack of pigmentation, but albinism is the diagnosis.
Yes,
that's the difference. That's the difference, and I don't think people understand that. A person being called albino is who they are, quote unquote. But whereas albinism is being called what the condition is. That's the condition.
Yes.
So I don't think.
Okay. I need to jump in here. Saying person with albinism, I think for me, United Nations also has approved that, said person with albinism. So you said the person, that you are a person. When you said an albino, you're calling the person the condition. Like you're saying black man, or if you have a cut, like an amputated foot, you said an amputated man, or you understand? That is the albino. When you said albino, that you're calling the person the condition per se. But when you say a person with albinism, that's you are proving first that the person is a human being first, but you have albinism. So a person with albinism, rather than calling the person albino, or like you see a blind person, you said a man without an eye, or a man with one eye, a blind person. So you just visually see a person. That means the person is blind. So you said person with albinism. So you put the person first before its condition.
Yeah. Oscar, do you want to say something? Oscar, do you want to say something? Because you've been a bit quiet. I'll give you a chance.
Okay. Well, I've heard a lot of people call names. Now I've grown out of that stage. Now I'm believing to see reality. This is who I am. Like you can easily get a cream that will turn you from black to white. That's when you bleach your skin. But they've never recommended a cream that will turn you from white to black. If the cream was even available, I will not buy it. Ask me why. I know it's not really easy out here for persons with albinism, especially in Africa, but my albinism is my selling point.
Right.
You know, you can easily spot me out.
Amen. Amen.
You know, you
right.
can easily spot me out like, oh, that's that guy. Go to him. This is what he's into. He will give you the best. It's as easy as that.
Yes.
And I think one of the biggest differences is albinism is something that you're born with. So unlike an amputee, you know, if you get into a bad car accident and then you have to get your arm or your leg chopped off and you become an amputee, but you're not born that way. You know what I mean? An amputee is someone who had got to get that limb cut off. Albinism is something you're born with. You had it all your life.
It's congenital.
Right. It's congenital, which means it is developed before you're even born. So with that being said, I think it's quite toxic for people to feel offended because someone uses the term albino. Because here's the thing, and the last thing I want to say about this is it's just to say albino is just an abbreviation to say the word albinism. And that's how the English language works. When let's say a word like athleticism, right? No one's going to say,
athlete.
Right, it's athlete, right. So no one's going to say LeBron James has a lot of athleticism. They're going to say LeBron James is athletic.
It's an athlete.
Just like saying, just like it's much longer to say Dale has albinism versus saying Dale is albino. That's just how language works. You make shorter words abbreviate longer.
I agree with you.
Can I just go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Darren. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree with him, and one thing also I feel like the word itself is it's used for animals. So are you disrespecting animals when they call it like I've seen
right, an albino gorilla,
albino cat.
I've seen crocodiles too. Guys, I'm gonna clown for a second. I'm gonna clown you guys. Even the very fruit sometimes. If anybody eat white rice and white bread, I always say, look, it's wheat that has albinism too.
I never heard that one. Wheat has albinism.
No, I just made that up. Obviously, you know what I mean.
So plants do have albinism. Plants that do have albinism.
Yes, of course you've got. I've seen an albino tangerine before. I've seen an albino pineapple. I've seen that. So in the very food we eat with plants, or fruit, and it has albinism. So like I think I know we have to be open-minded. We have to be open-minded still, and also
it's all about culture. So I think
exactly, and there's culture difference as well. There's different cultures. We're gonna have to move on. So, guys, can you all just reveal your age so we can know what age group we are? So, can you please let us know your age, please?
I'll go last.
I'm 37.
Josh, can you 37? Oscar,
37.
how old are you? Oscar, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 35.
J Marvel, what's your age, please? Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, J Marvel, what's your age, please?
Yeah, I'm 38.
You're 30.
38.
Oh, 38. Okay. Josh, Dale, how old are you? Dale, I don't know if you can hear me, but yeah, for me, I am 34, so I'll probably be the youngest in here. And Darren, what's your age?
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm the oldest. I say without a problem. I'm 45.
45, and you look so fabulous.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna move on now. So this next section is about overcoming the stigma in our community. And the question I have for all of you speakers that's here, and it doesn't matter who goes first, how can we overcome the albinism stigma? Because that is the main theme of this talk. How can we overcome the albinism stigma? So I'm gonna, in fact, let me choose someone. Josh, so how, in order for us to overcome the stigma within our community, what are the things that we need to do?
I mean, the thing about this stigma is, I mean, sort of overcoming the stigma is there is no silver bullet to just overcoming it and that's it. There's gonna have to be a lot of education that's done. Some people, you know, obviously it's not gonna have any impact because, you know, they're set in their beliefs and whatever, but there has to be a certain amount of education that's done, and there has to be a certain amount of cultural understandings and sort of debunking a lot of the misinformation that's out there. And a lot of that is done just through advocacy, you know, and it looks daunting. I'm not gonna say it's not, because I've seen advocates like on their platforms. Okay, I've seen when they started, you know, and I've seen them progress and progress and progress to what they are now. Like Dale with like Life with Albinism, like from then to now, you know, it really does show the progress that people do, you know. Me personally, I never thought of myself as an advocate. I always consider myself like the average, you know, just don't mess with me type of guy, but I consider myself very opinionated.
That's the New York word for his sponsor.
Yeah, pretty much. So there was one time, and I'm never gonna forget this, where Marvelin, okay, referred to me as an advocate. And I took that to heart because I had the honor and the privilege to be a part of one of the first like Yell for Change lives a couple of years ago on Instagram. And it was a very powerful conversation, very emotionally charged, you know, because there were a lot of hard-hitting topics. But yeah, but it all begins with advocacy, and advocacy takes many forms. So, you know, there's no real simple way to really do it, but that's at least where you start. You start advocating for yourself, you know, and you build yourself up, and then you're able to advocate for other people, because you can't pour water out of an empty pitcher, you know.
Yeah.
Darren, you want to go? Enlightenment. I feel like enlightenment is key. I mean, you can't teach the whole world, but you can, like the old saying, like you could basically do one or two things. You could teach somebody how to fish, or you could just take them fishing, one or the other. So that old saying. But like my daughters, for me, it's like, by me, they don't, let's say, have albinism, but if I let them know who I am and they make them aware that they can have possibly, yeah, you don't have this, but your children can. So this is what you need to know. These genes run in you have this gene, you may not be a person of albinism, but you have the gene, which makes you more likely that you could meet someone, have children, and have a child that end up looking like me. Don't just run back and say, oh, why does he look like me? You have the gene of albinism. And the person that you dealt with also had it, and they probably didn't even know it. So I feel like enlightenment, it's like spreading the ability to spread enlightenment can always help people understand things better. Because why wait till when a child is born? Like, why does the child look like this, or who does this child look like? Because I'm sure when my mother's first child was born, they were wondering what the heck is this. But after they had me, they were like, oh, okay. We have this. My mother and dad, my father and father have this gene, but they don't. They aren't persons of albinism. They both dark skinned. My point I make is that I'm not going to make that mistake. My kids are going to know who I am and what genes they possess, and how they can enlighten whomever they deal with, or whoever's around them, because my kids are going to have friends, and they're going to wonder why your dad is so light and you're dark. Well, not dark, but brown.
Yeah. Dale, do you want the question, because you was muted or you wasn't here, but the question is, how can we overcome the albinism stigma within our community? Dale Hamilton.
Okay. So now when you say the albinism stigma, what exactly are you referring to? So I can answer.
Referring about the whole thing, the whole discrimination, the whole everything that's negative around albinism. So the things that what we experience growing up, maybe, well, for those, how can we overcome it? What are the things that we need to do to overcome it, the stigma of albinism? Because one of the things that I would say, for me personally, and as Darren and Josh says, advocacy. If you don't learn to advocate for yourself, no one else will, and that's my intake as well. So, what's your perspective of this?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's speaking up for yourself and us doing what we do, which is spreading the word and the understanding of albinism. And that's why we started our platforms, Life with Albinism and Yell for Change. We started those platforms to educate people about what albinism is and what we go through in our lives. And I think that alone helps to break the stigma, because a lot of people see our platforms for the first time and they'll say, wow, I didn't know people with albinism could drive. Wow, I didn't know some people with albinism could have decent vision. Wow, I didn't know.
I'm going to talk about that too.
Right. So on and so forth. So I think that us spreading the knowledge helps to alleviate the negative stigma. And then the last bit of advice that I give to all people with albinism is, don't care what people say or think. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing that I come down to. It may sound simple, but it really is what it is. It's like, if somebody wants to make fun of me or stare at me or ask me a stupid question about albinism or because of my albinism, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? So we have to learn to put our attention and focus on things that actually matter. And a lot of times people's opinion of you doesn't actually matter. So that's another thing that helps to alleviate that stigma is, don't pay attention to the negative things that people say, and we have to just learn that, hey, we are different and there may come about things about that, and no different than anybody else, right? Like, let's say if I didn't have albinism, but I was 6'9", that would bring about a lot of attention. That would bring about a lot of people when you're young and you're that tall, people will make jokes about you. They'll say you look lanky. They'll probably make Michael Jordan or basketball jokes against you. So my point of saying that is, no matter what, if you have anything different than the average person, people are going to notice it. People are going to talk about it. People are going to stare. People are going to say things. It just is what it is. So who cares?
I feel like what's wrong with being the unicorn? Like this.
Right. What's wrong with being different?
What's wrong with being the unicorn? Like to me, like that's what gets that. I feel people embrace me more because I stand out. It's like, but like I said, initially they looking at me, but once you get to know them, like, dang, he's a lot more than that.
And if they see that you're embracing your albinism, they'll embrace you more because you embrace
exactly. I love that what you just said. That's powerful right there. That's one of the things I can take from this advocacy was embracing yourself. Because for me, let me just say this, like, I'm glad that you lot bring up with the visual impairment. So I went to the ophthalmologist with the eye hospital obviously a couple of times, and they've told me, for somebody with albinism, my vision is quite good. Like, even though it's not strong obviously, I know in certain countries I will be able to drive, but because of the laws in the UK and the the road traffic act laws here, if you can't read a driver's license for a certain distance, you can't drive a car. So that's the only reason why they won't issue me a driver's license. However, they said that my vision is on a borderline. So it's like I have good vision for somebody with albinism. But one of the things where the stigma is, like, people will tell you, oh, you can't see to get a job. I was told I would never have a job and I will never be in employment. Well, I broke that barrier, ladies and gentlemen. I am working for a well-known company, and recently I got permanent contract at my company that I work for. And I am just grateful. I'm truly blessed. Thank you. I'm truly blessed that, you know, as a community, how we're overcoming the stigma is we are taking our power back. You know, we're taking our power back. We are saying, listen, we may be born different, but we can contribute to the world. You know, so what if we have a visual impairment? There's so many multiple eye conditions out there. And I truly believe that once we as a community, thank you, once we are in agreement with this, saying that if we self-advocate for one, another thing I want to say as well is we must lead by example. That's another thing, a part of overcoming the stigma. Do you know why I say lead by example? Because we have to be our own example within the albinism community. Oscar and J Marvel, do you want to add to this discussion, gentlemen?
Actually, you're talking about what are we to do with all the discrimination and all? Is that the question?
Yes, so overcoming the albinism stigma. What are ways we can overcome it from changing the mindset within our community?
Okay, I think one way to overcome it is what you're doing, like this particular forum that you called people with albinism, like the male advocates, to come and talk about issues that are affecting us. This is one way to overcome the discrimination and challenges we are facing. Honestly, if we are bold enough to come out and talk about the things that are facing us, that we are facing every day, it will go a long way for the kids. Like the younger ones, they should be our focus. If we are focusing on how to solve the problems that we have faced and we have overcome, talk about the strategies that we use, what we did to overcome those challenges growing up and achieving what we achieve now, that will go a long way for those kids, and they will not suffer like us. And self-love, us having self-love for us, like all the speakers we are saying, like you don't have to like think about what people will say. Because if all of us in this forum right now was not like confident, we shouldn't have been here like discussing with you, because we are leaders that are making difference in a different country and different society that we are in. That's why you invited us here right now. So we have overcome challenges and we have made difference and making changes for our community, for the albinism community in the country that we are. So we're doing a good job, yeah, but we need to do great job and better job. We need to do more to overcome this. Continue with our organization, the advocacy that we're doing, do some motivational talks to kids with albinism. All those things will help, like limit the discrimination, perhaps, if not end it. But also, we should embrace one another. If we have means of like inviting people with albinism to other countries, for like, let's start organizing like fundraisers for organization in Africa. We have Darren, we have our guys over there. You guys should be organizing certain forums and inviting people to be there and advocate and like fundraiser and talk about the challenges that people with albinism are facing down in Africa. Yes, you guys are there, but your skin is not damaging like us. Have some dark spots, have some like reddish bumps. So we need sunscreen, we need sun protective clothing, we need hats, we need sunglasses, we need things here. It's not that it should be new one, it can be used one, but you sending it here, we sharing it to the community, that will go a long way. So let's be thinking about how to help leaders, organizations that are in Africa to see how to better the life of people with albinism down here.
Can I just say this? Can I just bring this up? You just mentioned that. So right. So you mentioned about sunscreens, right? Now, bear this in mind, ladies, that because we're different continents of the world, sunscreens is very expensive and it depends on the SPF right? So if it's the higher factor, it's not cheap, right? It's not cheap. And I know Darren, I'm gonna, if he doesn't mind me bringing this up, he mentioned a couple when we done the talk, I think the last time we did, he mentioned about the banana boat sunscreen. I don't know if he can do me the honors a favor, if he can get the link and put it in a chat for me, please.
I have it here. Just a second.
Yeah. So it's what the banana boat, right? So if anybody wants to actually, you can get sunscreens. For those who have access to maybe online shopping, I don't know, everybody has, it just depends, but you can get sunscreens. Oh yeah, there it is. Thank you so much. We can improvise in the ways, but there are also natural ways also, because aloe vera is good for everything, you know.
So,
and another thing, aloe vera is good for everything, so that it can also it cools the skin. So if you go in the sun and if you get a sunburn, aloe vera is good to cool the skin down, and it hydrates your skin. But also we must not be ignorant, because some of us in our community, we're very ignorant of the fact that we think that we are normal when it comes to our skin. We have to take precaution. One of the things I say in my advocacy is don't wear dark clothing in the sun. And the reason why I feel we shouldn't wear dark clothing, some people do, and some people don't. And the reason why I say that is because obviously when you wear maybe black and it's too hot, because obviously black attracts heat.
Yes, but it also protects your skin from the sun better than a lighter color.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another point as well. But it just depends on the material of the clothing. So you probably have to wear something that's sun resistant. So you could probably wear a dark color, but also it's sun resistant as well. And obviously we do have Daryl, Life of Albinism. He does have his merchandise. Okay, I have to promote this because it's all about empowering our community. Life of Albinism I do have a merch.
I talked about sunscreen and other sun protective gear.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, hold on. So with that said, you know, clothing matters, because even as what if you don't have the sunscreens, but you have to kind of improvise and use resources to protect your skin. So, I mean, like I said, with sunscreen in the UK now, it's not even cheap. To buy a bottle of sunscreen now, it's like probably a $5, and obviously it's a lot of money. For one little bottle of sunscreen is very expensive here. So can you imagine if we send something across, how much it's going to cost for that? Say if we send 1,000 sunscreen.
May I?
Sure.
It actually costs more money to send the items than to buy it.
Yes.
Because I've sent Regina, Mary, I told you her and I are extremely close. I sent her 6 bottles of these. It actually, 6 of these. 6 bottles of them. And it actually cost me a lot less to buy it than to ship it. It cost me maybe about, in the US dollar, it cost me a total of every can that I bought about $50, maybe $60. It cost me over $200 to ship it.
Yeah, exactly. So shipping cost alone.
And I wanted to tap into what Darren is saying.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
What Darren is saying is absolutely facts. If you are living in the if you're living in the United States and you're trying to help someone abroad by sending them sunscreen, it is extremely expensive to send products like that by mail. Not only that, you will be faced with a lot of restrictions because a lot of places will not ship.
Yeah, it's same here in the UK. Same here in the UK as well, because it's the tax. And even like, for example, if I'm gonna send, say for example, if I send something to you, Darren, right? If I send like a spotlight, I'd say if I'm saying they question us at the post office, they want to know what is the purpose of that product. So if we say we send it as a gift, they charge more. If you send it as a non-profit, they charge. It varies, and it varies the countries as well. So the shipping cost is expensive.
I will say
it's
this.
Expensive.
I will say this also. When I sent her this, it took her more than a month and a half to receive it. It reached the country in about a week and a half. But to go through all the cycles of of the checking the box and whatever and everything. It took her a
Yes.
month and a half to receive it. She didn't get it until a month and a half after I sent it. There's a lot of obstacles that go into sending any item from internationally via mail. Whether it's in America, you use FedEx or UPS or whatever item, it takes forever. So you're better off if you're going to the country, which my next trip, if I ever go, when I go back to South Africa, I'll bring a box full of them. But my plan is to bring.
But even you even said that as well, Darren. Listen up. There's even restriction airports as well. At airports, so even if for example, even because it's a very sensitive matter, but even at the airport, right? You can't just bring products out of the country neither. So they even question all these things. There's so much restriction.
Yeah, that is true.
There has to be a
can't insert. I mean, if I go to Jamaica now, for example, and I bring my sunscreen now, you have to put some special type of label because of the incident we had, the 7/7 bombings on the 9/11. Is it 9/11? Please tell me I'm correct, right? Because of that, and we can't even. They're so strict at the border, guys. They're really strict when it comes to bringing products out of the country or in the country. They're really strict at immigration. So all of these things, though, it's okay. We can help, but it's just the restriction overseas. It's not as that simple.
Do you remember when I went to Cape Verde, the young man with albinism that I met? Remember his clothing? His clothing that he had. He dressed appropriately due to his complexion. And I think people need to be more smart. And I was like, I didn't have to tell him anything. He had a light blue shirt, but it was all long sleeve. It was made for swimming or surfing. And he had that because he knew of it. His complexion and the heat and the sun is heavy. So he was very, very enlightened. This is why it goes back to enlightenment of people, of your issue, knowing who you are and what your conditions are and how to not only embrace it but to protect it. It goes
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So if you don't have sunscreens, okay, you wear obviously in my job we have to wear PPE, so high-vis safety boots and obviously gloves. But same way with albinism, if we know that we don't have sunscreens, we have to wear protective clothing. Wear protective clothing that's appropriate, to cover your skin.
And that's one thing. And that's one thing I wanted to say, Marvelyn. And thank you so much for shouting that out for me. Just letting everyone know, everyone who's on this Zoom call, and anyone who's watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're on the call, whoever's watching and hearing this, know that at Life with Albinism, we do sell sun protective clothing for people with albinism, long sleeve shirts as well as shorts. So if in fact you do want to protect your skin and get some sun protective clothing, you can order that from us, any color, any size, any length, any style or design that you like. So if you want, you can just anyone can contact us on our Instagram, which is life underscore. Yeah, so if you want to contact us on Instagram, it's life underscore with underscore albinism. And you can just send me a message there and you can order whatever you like. So if you want some sun protective clothing, we got that for people with albinism. Just hit me up and we can get you whatever.
And also,
wait, hold on.
I thought hats as well. Do you have the hats as well?
Yes, we have the sun visors as well. We have sun visors and we have everything. We have
Let me get mine real quick, guys.
Okay.
So I do have a merch right now. As we speak, we do have a Life with Albinism visor as we speak.
Thank you, Marvelyn. See, this is why I love Marvelyn, So yes, we have sun visors, we have magnifiers, we have keychains, we have clothing, we have sun protective clothing. So whatever you guys want. I think you was going to ask a question, Darren. You was going to ask me a question.
Go ahead, Darren. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, I know you in NY, right?
Yeah. I'm located in Bronx.
So then you close to me. You and I can chat. We can link up.
Definitely. Do you have my contact information?
No, I think we've already friended each other on Facebook. I think you and I are friends on Facebook already.
Okay, let me just double check and make sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are because I've seen your face, but let's just make sure because it could have been on Instagram. I'm not sure.
Nah, I'm pretty sure it's Facebook.
Okay.
This is why it's so important empowering albinism community. We help and we educate each other, and this is why we do this. This is why I do this work, because it's so important that we help each other. How can bring enlightenment, as well as Darren said, enlightenment to albinism, what we can do to help our community. And it's important that we have to first, as I said, we can't be ignorant, because skin cancer is the biggest killer. We have to really look. Our health is our wealth, right? So we have to learn to take care of ourselves. Self-care is critical. We're going to move on, guys. We're going to move on to the next topic. We're going to talk about mental health, men's mental health, guys. And this is a big taboo. I mean, where they say when men are weak if they get emotional. Now, with albinism comes with obviously the physical aspects, lack of pigmentation, skin, hair, and eyes. But have you ever had this discussion within your community? This question is for J Marvel and Oscar. Hey guys, I need you to start coming and be prepared for this. Is this a situation? Is this a topic of discussion within your community? Mental health with albinism in your organization or your country?
Okay. For our organizations, LAPWA, we know mental health is a big issue for us as persons with albinism, because talk about the self-hate, the parents being abandoned by the dad. So the problems will start from, say, the mom with the dad. So if the dad abandoned the mom and the kid, so that's the situation that we are in. So we're giving counseling and other things to mom with albinism, and also female and also kids with albinism.
Oscar, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So in Nigeria, right? In Nigeria, so your organization, right, is mental health is a topic of discussion.
Is it really a topic of discussion?
Yeah, it's something that is brought up.
Okay, one, it's what you bring out to people, they will help you with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we had a meeting on Saturday, and there's this particular lady that came with a son. Just because she gave birth to a child with albinism, the husband have to leave her, claiming this albinism, it's not in our family. Where did you get this child from? So I told the lady that, imagine I was your neighbor, your next door neighbor, and we are very close, we talk, I can even walk you to the market and everything. I come to your house freely, and you give birth to a child with albinism. Now, just because your husband is not educated to that level of knowing that this thing are two people coming together to make the child, not just the mom, and now not just the dad. A lot of people need to sit down, talk about this, not just in the in the albinism community alone, outside the community. Talk to schools, talk to churches, at least there are people who respect their pastors more than their husband. There are people who respect their boss more than their wife, who can hear from their boss more than they will listen to their wife. So, all these information need to be thrown out there. Do you get it? It's only what you bring that will receive perceive. If you don't bring it, we will not know. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
So this mental health of a thing. Okay, now I have somebody. She's going through depression now. I am trying my best to talk to her. You know, I cannot do the talking alone, not just the talking. If you're talking to someone, there will be a little support that, oh, yes, please take this. Now she's not in Lagos. She says she's seen a dermatologist where she is. She reached out to me and she's showing me the damages on her skin. You know, I cannot pull out my skin and give her. Do you understand? Now, a lot of people don't know this. What the son you went to 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years ago, the effect might come now. A lot of people don't know. That's why, if you look at it, the mental health for people, man, it's only those who can have that confidence to come out and tell you, this is what I'm going through presently. And one thing I do, I look out for persons with albinism. Yes, I do it. Though some people might not want to talk to you, some people might not want to look at you. Okay, if a dark-skinned person who is still struggling to get a job, not to talk of a person with albinism, do you understand? He or she might think, oh, is it because of my albinism? Should I kill myself? Did I do mistake of coming to this world like this? I'll take them back to the famous world star Michael Jackson. He was a black man. He switched to become an albino.
No, he had vitiligo.
He cannot. Okay, the same thing with suffer. He suffers. His own is even more, because if he goes to the sun, he might melt. He never visited Africa. Do you understand? So this is the same thing we face. When we go to the sun, we get reddish, we have bruises. To take days. I don't know if you've experienced it. It will take days before this thing wipe off. And we just have to work in this country, because you cannot sit somewhere. I cannot sit here and tell Mr. Dell, please, I need $100. Mr. Dell is gonna whoop my ass and tell me to go work. And before you walk here, you walk through the sun, you walk through the rain.
Yes.
Do you get it?
Yes. That's what I'm saying to you guys. That's what I'm saying to you all, that we have to learn to improvise and use resources to kind of help our community. And that's what I'm saying is, as Darren mentioned, that young man, he wore protective clothing. And it's just about you taking that initiative for ourselves to do things. And it's important that we learn to speak up and help others. But obviously, you know, I know it's challenging at times, but we just have to like understand that we're not alone. And we just, you know, we must have these discussions. As much as it's uncomfortable mental health with albinism, we must learn to have these discussions. And okay, so sorry to cut you, Ocsar, but we have to really move on because of time. The next part of the mental health is talk about men are weak. And that's such a big stigma. And we're going to bring this conversation about men in general, men's mental health. And for me personally, if I hate the fact that when I hear people say, oh, women, we are emotional creatures, but a man can't cry. Yeah? A man can't cry when he's feeling a son. The man must toughen up. So let's have a discussion about let the men speak about mental health. So all our speakers, please join in this discussion about men's mental health and the taboo and the stigma around that. Who wants to take the initiative?
Like, I don't get it. Is it like a man with
so
albinism
just in
mental
general, like,
health?
no, just in general, men's mental health, like where people would say if a man cries, he's deemed as a weak man, or he's just a girl when he cries, or if a man don't go through struggle. Yeah.
Man cries behind closed doors. I know a man is allowed to cry. Let him pour out the tears.
Like men them shouldn't cry. It's like, I don't like that, because I feel like it's stigmatized them, and it's like it's so damaging to the mental health and well-being, because I feel like if a man is trying to, obviously the man is protective, or you know, a man is deemed to be the stronger gender, but there are times that they need to let their emotions out. So when I hear people say men them shouldn't cry or they need to man up, you're the biggest baby, I just don't like that.
I'll
okay.
Oh, I was gonna say I'll speak on that,
Yeah.
and you know, I may get hated for this, but I'll be honest. I'm one of those. I'm more of a classic man. I'm the kind of guy where I actually do believe that a man should be very regulated in his emotions. I feel like a man should definitely learn to toughen up and learn how to deal with scenarios without breaking down and crying, simply because as a man, you may be faced with a situation where everything is on your back and you can't fold under pressure. So, for example, as a man, you are designated to be the protector and the provider, not just biblically, but also naturally. So, if in fact you are the protector and the provider, and you have an entire family to take care of and protect and provide for, especially financially, you can't be in an emotional state where you break down, fold, and cry when things get hard. You have to learn to deal with the situations with a more of a tougher and understanding approach. So I'm actually one of those people who agrees that men should not be emotionally fragile and they should not resort to breaking down and crying when things get rough. They should learn the essence of the toughness to take care of things because they're in situations to protect and provide for more than just themselves.
Any other speakers want to add to that? What's your view? Any of our speakers want to add to that discussion about, just in general, because I get that there should be a balance of it, there should be a balance, as you said above. Say, men, obviously for me, what I know is men are supposed to be the protector, the strength, but there are times where I feel like it's okay to have that moment. So you know what, I'm not okay sometimes.
Okay. Will I say?
Yeah.
Now you're trying to make it look as if a man doesn't have blood and water running in his vein. He's also a human. Do you get it? He's also a human. Okay, what about when you go out there to go fend for the family, and at the end of the day, what you were expecting might not be what you will get, but you just have to bring something home. Deep down in your heart, this is not what you were supposed to bring home, but you brought something. You might not burst out crying, you might just sit back and watching them eat that, and deep down in you, this is not what you planned. The plan switched at the end of the day, and you just have to bring what you have to bring. You get it? So you might just sit back and watch them eating it, and tears might drop. Not like you're crying that, yes.
And that's exactly what I agree with Oscar, is that I'm not saying that men should be emotionless. I'm not saying that men should have no emotion, but I am definitely saying that as a man, you're not quite in a position to just break down and cry when things don't go the right way. You know what I mean? You have to have that essence of strength internally, emotionally, and mentally and physically at all times, because everything can be on your back. So please, no, anyone who's hearing this message from me, do not misinterpret me as saying men should not have emotion. I am just saying that men should not be emotionally fragile, and they should not be the ones that resort to breaking down and crying when things get rough. As a matter of fact, a man should enjoy a challenge. But I would love to hear Darren's perspective on that, because
I didn't hear him as well.
He seems pretty
what's your perspective about man's mental health when they say men?
Pretty masculine. I think that. Thank you very much. So, as a person who's overcome a ton of challenges, in my entire life, I believe, and my personal belief is, things don't happen to you; they happen for you. So, with that said, I feel like what the things that happen for you is in some way or sense or form is supposed to provide you with wisdom and experience. but you can't call yourself experienced if you haven't learned a lesson. Don't let me. Don't. Sorry, that's not poetry coming. I apologize, but that's what I've learned in my stages and my challenges in my own life, and me being I'm a married man. I feel personally I have to be strong for my wife because I feel like there's certain things, elements of life that she can't handle and is meant for me to take on. And it doesn't necessarily mean little things as in a bill or something to that manner, but it's an emotional burden sometimes that I feel like some people can't handle and some people can. And me personally, I was like, it doesn't mean I'm not allowed to break down because I'm human and of course I can. And the question is, who can you break down to? And it's the trust factor.
Yeah.
It's the trust factor. And for me, in my experience, again, I only talk about my experience. I think you and I talked about this from Marvin. I'm about to call you my wife. So you know you have the same similar name. Yeah. So like with that being said, I don't trust a lot of people, and it's nothing against them, but it's just that my experience has enlightened me to let people know trust isn't something that you just give. You earn. You earn that. You definitely have to earn my trust. I'm not the one type of guy that will give it away or just hand it to you. So that also provides me with a sense of strength that lets me be able to handle certain challenges in life that other people will probably break down. But everybody's sense of strength is different. Anybody can fall to something that possibly another person will look at and be like, why? But you know, you only have to hope, and the hope in some sense is that they can get experience and wisdom out of it to make them better, because that's really what it's about. And because again, people wonder why I don't cry much. I'm not afraid to cry, but it just takes a lot to take me there.
Yes.
It's just
that's so true. It depends on the situation as well. Say for example, say if you have a tragedy, say if you lost a loved one or something, or maybe like you know, it's something serious has happened, and you know, it may take time, it may take a lot to process, and that's why I feel like when it comes to mental health and a man's mental health, and as you said, Darren, experience will give you so much knowledge and you can learn from it. For me, I believe that how I find strength in my struggles. I find strength in my struggles because if I didn't experience certain things, and it has nothing to do with albinism as well, like, but in general, life challenges, you know, around us, we want to be able to articulate or to tell somebody about the strength of that situation, how we overcame it. So
listen,
it's important.
Your road in life is meant for you. But I also tell people when they think I'm you haven't been through this, whatever. I'm like, I challenge you to walk 1,000,000 miles in my life. You'll fall out in one. You wouldn't make it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That some people. Let me just say this: like, some people can't handle. So imagine if they experience the same thing. Some of them can't handle certain things, and some people are not even built for this. You know, but if you know in yourself that you're built for that circumstance, yeah, you can overcome it. Definitely. Any of our speakers want to add before we move on?
I want to speak also quickly. Is like I feel like again, I don't want to. I think society has made a lot of people soft. And that's just my opinion. And that's just my opinion.
So because I feel like if you don't go through something, how can you experience that strength of going through that situation? You know what I'm saying? Because I believe that sometimes it's like a man falling, right? You have the power to either stay down there and cry about it, or you get up and you if it means you have to crawl, if it means that you have to go on your face, you are taking your power back and you're saying to yourself, you know what, I'm going to like I'm gonna just crawl, but I'm not gonna give up. Because obviously we go through testing times, we go through a lot of things, but it's down to you. Do you want to stay there or do you want to get up? And you gain strength, but when you get up.
Like I was also said to you, it's like my albinism is just a pinch of my challenges. Like this.
Same.
Like if I like just a pinch, not even close to the things that I've had to overcome. Not even close. Like I can say that it was a challenge maybe when I was 20, but from everything that I've dealt with in my entire life, this is just my albinism is a walk in the park for me. For me.
Wow. Okay, I'm just reading through the chats. Let's welcome all of our listeners. Thank you for engaging with us. Y'all making some very important points in the chat. So thank you for sharing, and please keep the chat going and engage. Now to move on, we just want to keep this short. This next discussion is dating a person with albinism. And this is not a right or wrong. So the question I have for you, gentlemen, right? I know some of us are married, some of us have our wives or girlfriends or whatever, but you know, with having albinism, did you struggle to find somebody to date or maybe settle down with? Was it a challenge for you, gentlemen?
So I'll go first. So for me, in the beginning, and when I say in the beginning, I'm talking about like high school. It may have been a little bit of a struggle in high school because, you know, in high school we're a little more superficial, we're a little more immature, and we're a little more superficial in high school. So I think that was probably the first and last time where I might have heard women say like, "Yeah, you're actually cute, you're actually handsome, but I don't know if I could date you," because they didn't want to take on all of the stares and everything that would come beside them walking beside me or whatever the case. But again, that's young childish stuff. You know what I mean? As an adult, it didn't really affect it much because obviously I'm going, you know, obviously you can only date someone who wants you anyway. You know what I mean? So all right, so just back to answering your question. I would say when I was like really young in like middle school, high school, albinism affected the dating a little bit because some women were too superficial to look past it. But once I became like an adult or high into the teenage years, became an adult, then it no longer really affected dating. Now, undoubtedly, again, we still look different. So I may have to put in a little more work than the average guy, but that's quite all right because I'm going to make up for it in other areas. So, you know, I may look different than the average guy because of my albinism, but best believe I'm gonna dress better than him. I'll probably be funnier than him. I'll probably have more swag than him. So, you know, it's not too much of a hindrance when you get older.
Okay, anyone else? Dating? Did any of you gentlemen? Come on, I know y'all.
Well, let me just address firstly the mental health issue for persons with albinism. For me, definitely all male with albinism have some mental health issues because I don't know about people in the diaspora, but people in Africa, we have issues thinking that we do not belong because of what society has been throwing at us. So we think that we do not belong, and so that particular thing will be with you from schooling this from a childhood until you're old. So it takes time for you to come out from that particular thinking, or you start embracing other people, not thinking that they are just around you to use you or perhaps mock you all the time. Because I could call you names. So all of those things will get into you and make you so resentful to other people who are genuinely like you or want to come close to you. That's for sure. When you talk about relationship issues, definitely for all male, I think it's an issue. It's a challenge first for you to like have somebody to like accept like the person is passionate and society is not like talking down on that person for being with you. Because in Africa as a whole, the community is the one that they are the one that will make a girl shy to be with you. Not that you don't have women that are around that are not with albinism, in fact, that like you as a person with albinism. Perhaps they like because the way you look, they like you. But they will not come close because they will start mocking them. Or even if they go with you to their family, they will say, you don't see any man to date or any woman to date is a person with a bit. In Sierra Leone, they call us Jews or this disappointed African. It's what so because of that particular name will make you not to like, the person will like you genuinely, but people around her or around him will definitely make the person hate you. Yeah. So that's the issue. So people with albinism have started now because honestly, for you to see people with albinism working together, like Ocsar said, that's a big issue because it will create more attention. People will be calling you different names. So now, if you're working with your girlfriend, like she's with albinism too, and then you walk in and holding hands in the streets and other things. Oh, so juice and juice they love. So two people with albinism will definitely be together. So it's something that is very challenging, and that is what we're moving for. Sierra Leone Association have been, due to our support group meetings, our gender meeting, we've been in Sierra Leone. We have two people with albinism that have gotten married to themselves. So that's a progress. Yes, and I'm also dating a person with albinism too. Right? So we're moving.
That's a question I wanted to ask. That was the next question I had in mind to ask. Like,
okay, can I come in now, please?
Yeah, and then Darren.
Oh,
and
that
then
will be for the.
Yeah, so
that will be for the next question. Okay. One thing about, he said, in Africa, there was a time they raised this issue. One, let me tell you something a lot of people don't know today. Looking good is good business. Most of the persons with albinism I've seen here in Africa or Nigeria, let me say Nigeria, you're not dressing well. You are not smelling well. How do you expect somebody to come close to you and want to like you? It is impossible, my brother. You get it? When you walk into a place, you smell well. Somebody passed you and be like, oh, wow, who has that smell? Your hair is well cut. You're well dressed. You're not wearing a baggy trouser. You're not wearing an oversized shirt. Why wouldn't you get that girl's attention? You would definitely get her attention. It's as easy as that. When you're looking good, nobody will say no to you. I'm a full spec. Like, I'm not capping right now. I'm a full spec. Some people who know me are here. When I mean full spec, I dress to kill. Do you understand? So you won't talk down at me in any direction. Do you understand? And when you want to communicate with someone, you communicate it. Like, I met somebody, the person told me, wow, I don't know persons with albinism are this intelligent, they can talk this way, they are friendly. Just because you've never had a contact with one doesn't mean you speak about everybody. Even we ourselves, we kind of look down on ourselves.
Right.
When we can stop that, walk up to that person, the only thing she will say is no. And anybody who says no to me, I tell myself, wow, you just lost a big fish. Because I'm a big fish. So that's it.
Okay, guys, I'm seriously, this discussion is so, like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just glad that you said this because you know what, right? You mentioned something, Ocsar, you hit the nail. And why I'm laughing is because you know something, presentation matters. And if you look raggedy, you're gonna attract raggedy. And if you look good, you attract good. So that's why I was just laughing when you said, it's you mentioned about hygiene and people smelling. It's how you present yourself to a person, and especially if you're gonna meet somebody, you've got high hygiene. It's gonna put a person off, right? And how you carry yourself. If you don't look after yourself, man, how you expect a person to maybe appreciate you or take you seriously? Darren, your turn, sir, because I know you want to jump to introduce your face. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I need your honesty, sir. I know you from, we're both Caribbean, and obviously how we are as Caribbeans, we dress to impress, and if we go out, as my mom would say, make sure you go out and look good and dress good. In Jamaica, we say make sure you're bashment, and that means just look good. Go out in your best. That's what it means. So, Mr. St Agathe.
I mean, first I want to say, like, a woman can sense if you have confidence or not. That's the fact. Like, they can tell if you don't have confidence, like just by element of conversation and a short term and conversing with one another. They can always tell if you have a sense of confidence. If you don't have a sense of confidence, it actually turns off women. That's the first thing I want to let people know. I feel like, for me personally, I can't honestly relate to after high school. I think the young man said that after high school things changed. I think for me also after high school things changed. I think I told briefly about the young lady I met in college, and I always give her the shout out because, in a sense, she contributed to my confidence, because she was the first person who very aggressively approached me. And after that, I felt like all I needed to do personally was, since I'm already a person with albinism, why don't I make myself stand out even more? I started to dress. I started to watch how I dress, put myself together. And even my wife was like, when I first met my wife, like when we were just dating, I was like, I'm the type of guy, you tell me where we going, don't worry, I dress for the occasion. Like, you'll never have to worry. And I feel like the other young man that said you have to look good. Yeah, all these things definitely contribute to this factor. But I think the most important thing for me was confidence. And for me also, I felt like a lot of girls just didn't care. They didn't care for albinism at all. At all. I don't know if I want to say these things because I have a lot on my mind. So you let me know if I should cut it or not.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me know, because
because what it is, it's important that we important that obviously confidence and presentation goes well. It goes well because
be hand by hand. The one
exactly. So yeah. So confidence for me, I'm a woman with albinism, and for me personally speaking, I have to look my best. And if I don't look good, I don't feel good. So you have to feel that when you put on an outfit, or if you're gonna go somewhere, you have to feel confident. You have to walk with that confidence. You feel good in the outfit. I don't want to be so graphic, but obviously you want to feel sexy. You want to feel sexy. You want to feel like, yes, I'm $1 million. You know what I mean? So in that confidence, you want to carry that. You want to carry that.
I'm not looking for $1 million. I want it to be priceless. So that's me. It's all about the way you carry yourself. So you want to look and act like, not conceited, not egotistical, not narcissistic, but confident. There's a really big difference. So I'm going to say I don't care. Like, I dated enough before I got married to realize that, again, people did not care if I have it at all, because a few of them wanted. I don't care. I'm going to say it, like, they wanted them. A few of them wanted to have children by me, and obviously I have albinism, but they didn't care. They did not care. Like, obviously, and they were Black women. Like I want to emphasize on that also. Like they one was from what you call it, Nigeria. The other one was from Jamaica, and the other one was American. But they all were Black women. But the point I'm making is that it was my persona that they wanted to make sure that their children had what I had, despite my albinism. They didn't care. And again, it's the person that you are. It brings on the energy. Your energy brings on the energy that fits you. It's up to you to decide what's best for you. And I'm going to also use this last analogy, something I said to my wife when I started dating her. For me, relationships are like, you look at me, this is on the menu. This is my menu. I'm giving it to you, walking into my restaurant. This is the restaurant of Darren. This is the restaurant of Darren. you see. You're going to see and hear everything I have to offer. If you don't like what's on this menu, you can step out. It's okay. Because somebody else will like what's on this menu. And guess what?
You know, everybody's taste or cup of tea.
Exactly. I'm not everybody's taste a cup of tea, but guess what? Somebody's gonna like everything that's on this menu, and not just the appetizer or the dessert, the whole menu, and want to be with me. That's how I look at life. That's how I look at dating. And I like, for me, my psychologists always they were like, wow, you're the type of guy I like to be with. And
right.
Brother,
thank you. Sorry. Thank you so much, Darren. Not about the next question I wanted to ask, but I just want to be quick. It's just one person answer this question. Would you date somebody with albinism?
Me personally, I would date them. I don't know if I would want to. I don't know if I would want to have children with them, because I personally don't want children with albinism. I think I talked about that because it's setting to start. This is my opinion. It's starting your kids off with a disability, and that's not what I want. I don't want my child to be started off a few steps back because of something that they can't help. It's not fair. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, can I come in quick? Can I give you a quick one on this? Can I give you a quick one? Okay.
Yes.
So who said he doesn't want to have a child with albinism? Don't forget.
Darren, he was saying that.
Don't forget. Yeah. No, Darren, don't forget that my father, my mother never had albinism, but I have it. In my own lineage, I might not have a child with albinism, but my child might have it. Do you get it?
Yeah, I know how it
works.
So
I know of somebody who was trying to compliment, like, oh, I cannot get married to a light-skinned person. Let me go for a dark-skinned person. Now, equation is balanced in his family. He has 2 dark-skinned children and 2 persons with albinism. So the equation is balanced. I don't know if he's stopping there or he's still continuing.
It's all about
for
genetics.
Me, I will marry a person with albinism over and over again. Once the person is looking good.
It's not about looking good. I agree with you 100%. I just want you to understand that when you marry somebody with albinism and you have albinism, this is facts. When you increase the ratio of a child having albinism to 2/3, rather than if you were somebody who doesn't have the albinism trait.
Okay.
Or I emphasize the trait. Okay. Now I want to emphasize on this for you, sir. You have the albinism, not the trait. You have the actual, I don't want to call it disease, but the actual gene. You have the albinism gene. Your girlfriend has the albinism gene. But if you and her have the albinism gene, it is highly likely 2/3 of a chance that your child will have albinism also. Now, if you were somebody. I'll use my wife, for example. My wife doesn't have the albinism gene, but I do. So I have the gene, not the trait, the gene, the actual gene. So my children all will have the albinism trait, but they do not have albinism.
Right.
Well, for me, I'm more wiser now. You know, during the days of my parents, they were not wise. They don't know what albinism is. Now I know better and I can do better.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
let's welcome the child with albinism. Congratulations.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying I wouldn't love my child if they had albinism. I'm just saying, me personally, from all my experiences I've been through in life, and today's challenges are a lot different than ours, than what I went through.
Yeah.
I would prefer my child to not have it, because technically albinism is a disability. You don't know what degree of albinism.
Can I jump in this one, guys? Can I jump in this one? So, Ocsar and Darren, you know, there's not a right or wrong answer in this one. And J Marvel said he's dating someone with albinism, right? But the question I have, all right. So you date someone, there's a difference between dating and a long-term relationship. Because dating, you could just maybe go out for a drink, and that's dating for me. But when you're in a long-term commitment relationship, if you're married or you're in a relationship, what if your child's born albinism? Can't handle the bullying? What if the child with albinism maybe have severe partial sighted, or the sight is very
legally blind?
Yeah. So imagine that. Would you be able to handle that? You know, where if that child comes up with the vision is severely bad or, end up bullying and things like that. In this day in society, this world is cruel. It's cruel.
I wanted to prevent that. When I dated before I got married, I asked questions and it sounded like I was being mean, but I wanted to know. I wanted to know because to me, it's like I want kids and I want to make sure my kids are as healthy as possible.
Yeah,
that was important. Again, albinism, there's nothing wrong with us, but in one sense, but technically we have a disability. And
it's the vision impairment of it is the disability. It's definitely
so what they depend on the degree of vision, but also the skin too. So I don't want
the
that.
skin, because obviously we're prone to skin cancer, and a lot of people who are in this room, we are prone to skin cancer. If we don't take precautions and protect ourselves, we are at risk. So that obviously depends on the melanin intake. And things like that. It's important that we understand our genetics as well, because
I just want to make sure I have nothing wrong with it. I love to see people.
There's nothing wrong. I don't want anyone to feel offended in here, but there's no right and wrong, and everyone is entitled to have their voice. So please do not feel offended by what our speakers are saying. But everyone has their own different perspective of albinism, and it's important that we share our own views, because everybody has their own different perspective. I'm going to close this session now because time is speeding away. So the floor is now open, ladies and gentlemen. So I do see a few hands. So good evening. Who just joined in? Welcome.
Good evening. Yeah, I'm here. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi, how are you? Hello.
Yeah, I'm good. It has been a wonderful session. It's an honor to be here. I've loved every bit of it. In fact, I've been trying to add more people to join and learn from this section. My name is Taiwo. You already know that. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm the welfare officer of the Lagos State Albinism. Albinism Association of Nigeria, Lagos State chapter. You really, I've been wanting to say something since morning, just to put my own, at least add my own opinion and my own thoughts and everything. But I'll just basically just speak a few words. I don't want to talk much so that I can give room for other people to say something as well. But so when it comes to the, I want to talk about the skin cancer, the skincare routine, and how to protect ourselves. Well, in Lagos, Nigeria, it has not been easy. I would be honest with you. Well, I won't say Lagos, Nigeria is the most sunny place actually, but we have our own share of sun as well. So this year alone here in Lagos, at least if I could count very well, at least we buried at least 6 members of 6 people of our members. We buried them. They died of skin cancer. So it has been a challenge for us here in Lagos, Nigeria. Like you said earlier, sunscreen is not expensive. Sunscreen is very expensive. So to get sunscreen and to protect ourselves it has been a very difficult job. But we are trying as an association. We keep preaching and we keep telling people if we have some people who donated free sunscreen, we share it to the association as well. So I would love if there's any way anybody can help us with that to at least save life, because it's really important. I think in Nigeria overall we have about 100 persons with albinism, maybe more, died every year of skin cancer. So that is that area. And the second thing I want to really talk about is the last topic. I'm sorry if I go there, but I'm a person with albinism. Apart from science, that we know that it takes gene. If the other person, whether black or white, whether melanin or not, if that person has the albinism gene, you definitely give birth to an albino. My mom is black. In fact, I'm a twin. Taiwo means a twin, right? My twin, is black, and I'm an albino. So In fact, people used to ask, "Oh, how is that possible and everything?" But we just, to make it easy, we just say, "Oh, it's God, it's God." So just not to explain the science part of it. I've dated an albino before. Now I'm married. I got married to a black person, but it has been my dream to give birth to an albinism. And the reason why I say it has been my dream is that no offense to anybody here, but I felt I'm not God, and I'm not saying I am going to, but what I'm trying to say is that there's this thing called self-love. If you truly love yourself, whether you give birth to, saying you want to give birth to an albino, it's part of my explanation is part of self-love. It's part of saying, oh, yes, I'm a person with albinism and I love albinism and I'm ready to welcome albinism to my life, because whether you get married to a black, that does not, the percent may be slim, but that does not mean you cannot give birth to an albino. So if you're saying, oh, I don't want to give birth to an albino, what if you do give birth to an albino? Are you going to throw the child away? So saying you at least welcoming it even before it happens. I felt.
Yeah. Sorry I don't mean to cut you, it's just a time. Anybody else want to say something? I see Sylvia. She's no stranger to Y4C's platform. Sylvia, do you want to say something?
Yes, hello. Very interesting session. What I'd like to say, although it didn't come up quite, but with men, this is interesting because it is PWAs, which I would prefer to be referred to. Now, that's up to an individual if they want to be called, an albino. But for me, because I'm probably a lot older than a lot of you, I'm in my 60s, so you can imagine what it was like when I was a child. I'm going back to the 1960s, 1970s. But the thing I'd like to bring up, that there's a very high suicide rate with PWAs, particularly with men. It goes back to the mental health thing. I mean, there was tragically 2 cases we know. There was one young man in Australia, and there's another one quite recently who took their lives because of the stress. I mean, yes, I agree that, to a certain point, men are to be strong, but with the mental health, particularly if you don't have family support, because it goes back to the core of the family. You can choose your friends, but not your family. It can be very, very lonely. It's bad enough for women, but for men, when they grow up in schools, as I did say, that men tend to, when going through the schools, get into fights. Well, the women, we tend to get, verbal abuse, so that, yes, men have to be tough. But I think this needs to be, because the mental health side is particularly with men. In general, there's a high suicide rate, but it's particularly high with PWAs. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. I can't pronounce your name, but and Ruby Ratnasna from Born to Write Utter is here as well. So Miss, welcome you. Hey, beautiful queen, how are you?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sis.
I'm happy to be around to listen to this. It's quite educative, very, very good. I believe it to really help us. I mean, persons with albinism. Like what my dear brother mentioned earlier, that is Taiwo and Oscar. The issue of skin cancer in Nigeria is that bad. Presently, we have a case whereby we are struggling to get a guy out of the country to go for treatment in US, but unfortunately, they denied him visa at the embassy. So we don't know what next to do. He has been to India for operation, for surgery. Now he's due again for another surgery. We are looking for an hospital for him. Aside that, like what Taiwo said, almost every month we lose our members. I'm the national president of the Albinism Association of Nigeria, in Nigeria here. But it's so sudden. They call me every time. Like what Oscar mentioned earlier about the lady called me too about 2 days ago. showing me all the wounds on our hands, but I don't know what to say. Maybe because of the tropical climate we have in Nigeria, the sun is our enemy, the greatest enemy. So we are looking forward to how we can collaborate with development partners so that they can help us out. If they cannot send us sunscreen, they can teach us how to have sunscreen locally made in Nigeria so that we will not need to start looking for foreign exchange to buy the product. Then aside that, I believe that we need awareness, to do awareness program for our members, like what you are doing now. This is an awareness program. It's going to help us because I saw the cap you put on, the yellow cap, I saw it earlier. So this is part of the awareness what we desire, that we can also give, that one, that we can give to our members, educate them that this is what you should do. Because I believe in preventive measures. If you start early, when you notice a sore on your skin and you go to the hospital, the dermatologist says it, and it is cleared immediately, it's better than staying at home, allowing it to develop. And by the time you start developing, there will be no help again. So this is what I've gained from you today. Thank you so much for bringing up this program. But concerning mental health, we've not started anything about that in Nigeria yet. But thank God that you brought it up. We can look into it and start looking for those who have issues like that. Then concerning, can I marry a person with albinism? Yes, I can. But as God will have his way, I married a Black person. Yes, I married a Black person. And the issue of getting married was my major problem before. I married at the age of 52. Yes, I married very late. Yes. So
well, it don't matter what age. Just welcome to the married club.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So the issue of we dressing well, smelling nice, I believe it is good, but everything is in God's hands. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's welcome Miss Ruby. How are you, Ruby? I don't know if she can hear me.
I can hear you, and I've been listening very attentively to this wonderful men's session of Albinism Awareness. So thank you. I had a couple of points I wanted to. First of all, it's been really nice to sit in on the other side of a platform and sort of listen to.
You not working with me too. I'm not used to you not being beside me because you always support me. And for those who do not know who Ruby is a Tamil with albinism. So we do have a bit of diverse. And she is also the co-president of Ocsar White Atara. She's literally we're like working partnership. We work side by side a lot of times whenever yell for change, she's doing something, Ruby is always there. So thank you so much, Ruby, for being there. I really appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. If I could just, I know we're short for time, but I wanted to just say a few points just listening in. Yes, I'm originally born and raised in Sri Lanka, so South Asia, and I am currently in Canada, and I'm the president of Born to White Ottawa, which is a Canadian nonprofit organization for people with albinism. And Marvelyn, you've just, continually do a fantastic job for bringing us together and bringing awareness and bringing such a diverse group of people. Thank you to all the gentlemen. It's really interesting, and it's really nice to hear a different perspective outside of the female perspective on some of the issues, from dating to mental health to confidence to some of the barriers on your side. So thank you for sharing that to everybody. Just listening in, I thought about things that popped to mind, and if I could share that with everyone. The term albino, which is something that was talked about, I think just from, I guess, speaking from my perspective and my background is in social work and education, what I've learned, and I think somebody did mention this, is language is ever changing. It's constantly changing, and as we evolve and time evolves, language also advances or changes. And so I know one thing I learned is, well, two things. It's an example that I got during an equity training was, an example was, for example, people with color. In some countries, we say persons with color, persons of color. In some countries, in America, some people are referred to as African American. In Canada, a lot of people don't like to be referred to as Black Canadians. They'd rather be, or African Canadian, they would rather be referred to as Black. So I think a lot of times language, we need to meet people where they are and what people are comfortable with. When I also work with children with special needs, back in the day, decades ago, we used to call a child who has autism, we would say, that autistic child. And now we've changed that to saying that child with autism. So somebody mentioned putting the person first. So I think it really depends on where a person is comfortable. And I think some people growing up being called albino or in a negative way, it might be a trigger. And so they don't like it. Whereas to some people, it doesn't bother them or they realize that the person saying it isn't meaning ill will. So it's really meeting them where they are. The second thing I wanted to talk about is somebody, I can't recall who was talking about skin cancer and the need for sunscreen. I think that was a big topic. And I think it's important, again, it's to meet organizations and countries in where they are. Speaking from a country in Canada where skin cancer is not the priority for people with albinism as a barrier. It's more, issues around vision, issues around discrimination. I think what is really important to do is we need to really push organizations or leaders in each country that we're coming from to promote local awareness, promote local education, but also promote local access to things like sunscreen. Because as somebody said, it is quite expensive to buy, purchase, and then send that sunscreen over to another country. But more importantly, it's not sustainable. You can't do that a lifelong for one person and imagining. So it's really important that organizations work with their leader to get funding for their organization so that local organizations can provide it for the people in that, whether it's Africa or countries and particular countries in Africa. It's really important that your leaders get involved in finding kind of supportive funding for education, for awareness, but also free access to things like sunscreen or hats, because it's impossible to have sustainable, constant things from other countries. And last, if I can also, and one thing I also wanted to say about the skin cancer, and I know growing up as a kid, and I know a lot of us are much older and adults, somebody could have told me till the cows came home to wear long sleeves, wear my hat. But as a child, you often just want to fit in and you don't want to do that. And, when you're outside. So sometimes we have to be cognizant to where other people are in their lives, especially children, because even though we can educate them and when they grow up, at that time, they don't see it that way and they just want to fit into the norm. And so everyone else is not wearing long sleeves in the middle of a 30-degree, 40-degree sun. So I think sometimes having those accessible like sunscreen is equally important, but the education is important also so that when they grow up, they can make those decisions. And the last thing I wanted to say about was mental health. September is Suicide Awareness Month. I'm not sure if it's across the globe, but it is in Canada.
I am aware of this as well. Suicide awareness,
Yes.
and I think I did see the lady. The case with Sylvia mentioned was Jamie Kermas, and his mum a fundraising thing in Australia, and I did see her post, and I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing that there are people speaking up about suicide and how can we prevent suicide.
Correct.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and I think it's important, and I appreciate that we had a platform of men speaking, because I think one thing, especially with mental health, and I know a few people mentioned, we grow up in this society where, and people have different opinions about whether it's how strong, quote unquote, men should be and how emotional men should be. And wherever you feel. I think it is always important to teach men and women, but especially young men, because of the society that we live in, how to cope with stress. Because if they don't have an outlet as young men, and especially if they're, being discriminated against, or they don't know how to handle stress, and they're not given an outlet for emotion, whether that's, taking up a sport, taking up, whether that's crying, whether that's, writing, arts, whatever it is, if we don't teach young men how to cope with stress and challenges, they grow up to have mental health issues and don't have a positive outlet. So I think, especially young men with albinism, they have so many barriers, not just because of their disability, but growing up and facing some of the challenges that, the platform of men spoke about today: dating, relationships, vision, confidence. And so I think it's really important to have male leadership like the ones that we have today. And I thank everybody for that, to teach other young men to build their confidence, regardless of what their skin that they're in. So I thank you everyone for this. It was really nice to listen. And Marvel, and of course, you're constantly dedicated. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Marvin, please,
Yes.
sorry to cut you off. I got to go. So let me
Yes.
just make a few points before I go. I commend Ruby for his particular inputs, and I appreciate her for coming up with some of those things that she spoke about. But all what we are saying is that we need to realize the context or the particular situation that different people with albinism are in. If we want to help, we can help with advocacy education. That's good, because you've been seeing what we're doing in Sierra Leone. We've
Yes,
doing with confidence work. We're doing with the education. We have a booklet for support for people with albinism family, and for teachers. That is information resource booklet for teachers in different schools. We need to share it to different schools. It's about 2,000 copy that we've printed, and we are going to share it across the country to different schools to see how they can get education and know how to treat people with albinism in classrooms. But what we are seeing here is the challenges that we are facing in Sierra Leone and in Africa per se. We need to tell you guys that are living in that part of the world that don't understand what are the challenges we're facing, for you to know exactly. That is why we are talking about those issues. Not that we are not pushing to create change or try to move from that self-pity to being confident at achieving our goals. But it's a challenge even within the government. If you go to the Commission for People with Disability in Sierra Leone and other INGOs, it will take a lot for them to fund you. Government will tell you that we don't have money for this and this. They will tell you that free medical care for people with disability, which we are under that category, but there is no sun protection, clothing or sunscreen being provided on the free medical care products that are coming in. So you can see the challenges that we are facing. The government is poor, the country is poor down in Africa. Yes. So how factor, I don't see us as human beings. So it's just because of the advocacy that we have been putting on, the people are seeing us now like useful people in society. So that is why we are talking to our compatriots, like our colleagues in other parts of the country, to see how you guys can raise funds and help. Not that perhaps helping us. We have an organization that is in the UK sending sunscreen to us here in Sierra Leone. That is Medical Assistance Sierra Leone. So if you have any product, I'll just give you the contact. You send it to the person. The person will ship it for us here, because they have a registered organization. So we should ask, I want to help you guys, but
so if you've got anybody in the UK that's connected to you, you please do reach out
to help you guys. And we need to connect.
Yeah.
You have to create a WhatsApp group for us, those who are in WhatsApp, so we continue to vibe and continue to talk about issues. And also to all of my colleagues that we've spoke, all of the guys, thank you for being here, and we need to keep in touch and think about the exchange visits. People should do some exchange visits and try to reach out to certain countries, and then just
definitely
look at what is happening there.
I'm thinking about that at some point. So I'm thinking about that. So definitely, I'm trying to. We've got permits. Obviously with time permits, and obviously I have to look at flights to see if I can come to Africa. Certain parts, I know for certain parts of Africa, due to security reasons, because of the threats towards us. We just have to be careful which country
Yeah.
of place we go to. So, you know, we just have to take that business in mind as well. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you, and
so much, and
and
you're
to
doing an
everyone.
amazing job.
Think about that.
You're doing
Cheers.
an amazing job on Slapwa, and thank you for all you do for us. You know, you're doing amazing. Now the time has come to close this session, because time is really, you know, I wish I could go on longer, but time is really our greatest enemy. But we're gonna close this session now, and I want to say thank you to everyone that's really just made it a amazing event. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do. And I just want to really encourage everyone within the albinism community to never feel that you are by yourself, and just keep the conversation going. That's my encouragement for you all. And keep spreading the yellow message. It is 3 years of advocacy, guys. We are celebrating 3 years of Yell for Change anniversary. It is our third year going with this advocacy. So thank you so much to have shared everything. We appreciate you. If you want to take part in the Yell and Yellow campaign, as you can see, I am wearing a yellow cap to spread the yellow message. You can reach out to Yell for Change Instagram page if you're following us on Instagram. And if you do have me as a friend on Facebook, you can send a yellow picture of yourself. So anything yellow, it doesn't have to be, it could be a visor, hats, anything. So once again, thank you all so much for this evening. I really appreciate you. And remember, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at Yell for Change. So Yell for Change is YELL, the number 4, and change is one word. And I am so honored to have you all this evening. So thank you so much for each one of our listeners. And remember, Yell for Albinism. Together we stand, together we can. And much love to you all. I hope you all have a blessed week, wherever you go into school, work, wherever you may be. Thank you so much. And God bless you.